the stage.
This is a News 10 special report.
And this is Tony McEwing in the Channel 10 newsroom again with reports of a man firing shots at the Board of Equalization building on the 18th floor in Sacramento. That's located on 4th and N Streets. We take you live to the scene right now. And News 10's Dan Adams with the latest. Dan.
Tony, all this information is very sketchy right now, but from what we understand, shortly before 10 o'clock this morning, a man that some sources say was very heavily armed entered here at the new building, the new state building, at the corner of 4th and N Streets, the Board of Equalization building. From what we understand at this time, he has made his way all the way up to the top floor, to the 18th floor, and is perhaps holding several hostages there in a building. Now, we understand from some police sources right now that apparently he has asked some of the employees up there in the Board of Equalization to fill out some paperwork for him. We don't know what that's all about. We understand from other sources as well that have talked to him and have relayed to police that he apparently claims to be a former Vietnam veteran. He apparently is intoxicated, about 35 years old, and they aren't sure exactly what his demands are, but he's asking now to get several people here. He has a list of people that he wants to talk to, and he's asking them to be rounded up and brought up to the 18th floor right now. Shortly before 10 o'clock, some of the people who are in the bottom floor of this building in the cafeteria say that they did hear shots fired. One source says that when the man entered the building, he pulled out some sort of a weapon. They weren't sure exactly what it was, put a gun to the head of a security guard and asked him perhaps for some sort of access to the upper floors of the building. And as I mentioned now, he reportedly is up here on the 18th floor. At this time, we have no reports of any injuries. We do have sketchy reports of the type of armament this man has. Apparently, and let me get my notes here, he may have a .22 rifle, 2 shotguns, and a silver revolver. In fact, the last sources that we have heard say that he definitely has a silver revolver. The SWAT team from Sacramento Police are here on the scene right now. State Police are here as well and inside the building. Most of the people from the lower 3 floors of the building have now been evacuated. In fact, if we'll pan around on over here and show you the Capitol Bank Center, the people that you see over here right now are a number of the folks who have been evacuated from the building and have been told to get away. This entire area near N Street and 4th Street and all around here, this entire city block has been cordoned off. You can see the police activity here. The traffic in downtown Sacramento right now is quite a mess. Negotiators are coming onto the scene right now. In fact, the latest we hear is that Sacramento SWAT negotiators are trying to establish contact with the man up there. That's the latest information that we have right now. Of course, we'll stay on the scene and have more for you live as it develops. Tony, back to you.
And we do understand that there have been no injuries. Is that correct?
That's what we understand as well. As we say, there are apparently hostages being held, but at this time, no confirmed injuries.
Okay, one last thing, Dan. We had heard reports that perhaps the Wells Fargo building was being evacuated. Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't heard anything about that yet, Tony. In fact, the only evacuation we've seen have been here from the Board of Equalization building.
Okay, Dan, thanks a lot for that report. We will, of course, have more details as they become available. We will now return you to your regularly scheduled programming.
We now return to our regularly scheduled programming, already in progress.
5 numbers right. Come on!
Mervin's Super Sale starts Saturday, 8 a.m.
Open, open, open. Hi, Bob.
This is a News 10 special report.
And this is Tony McEwing in the Channel 10 newsroom again with more on that story of a heavily armed man shooting in the Board of Equalization building here in Sacramento. We understand that the man fired the shots on the 18th floor of the Board of Equalization building on 4th and N Streets. There has been a flurry of activity since our last special report. We now understand that more shots have been fired, those shots being fired a few minutes ago, and now there are unconfirmed reports that the suspect, the man who apparently fired the shots in the Board of Equalization building, has himself been shot. Once again, unconfirmed reports that the suspect, has himself now been shot. Now, at one point, we understand that the gunman, who was dressed like a cowboy, was holding at least 2 hostages at this point. That's what we understood. He reportedly was armed with a rifle, a shotgun, and a silver pistol. Once again, we understand that the suspect has been shot. And we will now go to an interview with one of the eyewitnesses who was on the scene at the time. Let's listen to what that person has to say.
Did everybody get down the stairs, Judy?
I don't know. There's somebody in the following right now. Where is he now?
18th floor, right in the middle of. As soon as you get off the elevators, he's right there inside where the file room is.
He's a Vietnam veteran, traveling, looking 35 years. That's what he said.
Dressing, he's got a brown cowboy hat, a plaid coat.
And he had a silver revolver. I've seen that. Looked like a .38.
Okay, let's go live now to Dan Adams, who is on the scene for the very latest. Dan, what can you tell us?
Right, Tony, about 10 minutes or so ago, witnesses say they heard 4 shots on the upper floor of the building here, the Board of Equilization building. It was on the 18th floor where the suspect had been holed up for a while, apparently with several employees up there. What we understand is happening now, and as I say, this is all unconfirmed information, but we understand that the suspect has been shot. And right now, ambulances are waiting down there at the corner of 5th and N, and we understand that paramedics are going into the 18th floor at this time, and the condition of the suspect at this time is unknown. Exactly what his motive was, we don't know now. Unconfirmed reports said that he had asked to see several people inside the building, had a list of people that he wanted to see, and that apparently he was also holding several hostages. Now we have some raw videotape of one of the first people that encountered him as he came in the building. Here's an interview with Greg Lively from just a few moments ago. Let's go ahead and roll the tape.
I was going in the door, I went through the security door, and then as soon as I got through the door, he was standing there loading a shotgun. He's about 6'1", 240 pounds, white male. And he said, "You better get the hell out of here." I said, "Oh, okay." So I went around the corner to the other elevator bank, and I was about 20 feet away, and I'm hitting the up button. I'm trying to get the hell out of there, and just as I hit the up button, he goes, kablam! He lets a round off, you know. So just about that time, the elevator opened up. I jumped in and got the hell out of there.
What did you do then? Did you see anything else around there?
No, I just went up to my floor and told my supervisor what had happened.
Okay, and as I mentioned, apparently, well, obviously, likely got out okay. And we understand at this time there are no other injuries reported. That is not confirmed right now. The only injury, apparently, that we understand is to the gunman up on the 18th floor. Tony, that's the latest from here right now. Of course, we'll have stay on the scene and have the very latest for you on News 10 at noon.
Okay, Dan, thanks so very much for that report. Once again, Dan saying that apparently there have been no additional injuries with this gunman, except the gunman himself, who apparently has been shot. We will have more details as they become available. This is Tony McEwing reporting live from the Channel 10 newsroom. We now return you to our regularly scheduled programming.
We now return to our regularly scheduled programming, already in progress.
.30 on Channel 10.
You are watching KXTV Channel 10. And now, News 10 at noon.
Hi, thanks for being here. A gunman on a shooting rampage in downtown Sacramento tops News 10 at noon. News
10 has had a live crew at the scene all morning. For the past 2 hours, we were the only television crew in position to go live from the site at 450 N Street. We're going to check in now with Dan Adams for the very latest. Dan, what can you tell us?
Right, Tony, right now we are at the corner of 4th and N Street in downtown Sacramento. As you can see, the emergency crews are still behind me here as the saga of what happened here continues to unfold this morning. I must tell you that right now everything is under control, and from what we understand, the police are inside the building right now trying to find out exactly what happened. Late word from UCD Med Center, the gunman has died. Apparently he was shot just before 11 o'clock this morning. And as I mentioned, it appears that everyone right now, except for the gunman, is okay. It happened just before 10 a.m. A gunman, apparently driving this van, enters the lobby of the 18-story Board of Equilization building.
As soon as I got through the door, he was standing there loading a shotgun. He's about 6'1", 240 pounds, white male. And he said, "You better get the hell out of here." I said, "Oh, okay." So I went around the corner to the other elevator bank, and I was about 20 feet away, and I'm hitting the up button. I'm trying to get the hell out of there, and just as I hit the up button, he goes, kablam! He lets a round off, you know. So just about that time, the elevator opened up. I jumped in and got the hell out of there.
Immediately, state police converge on the building. Sacramento police SWAT team arrives, and a massive evacuation is underway. What did they tell you? What happened?
They didn't say anything, nothing at all. They just told me to get out, so I did.
Where were you?
On the 7th floor.
How did you get down?
In the chair. In this chair. In this chair by the elevator.
The policeman came in and said, "Okay, let's go, everybody go." And the police, this is not, you know, we're all worried it was the guy coming up.
Did you hear any shots or anything at all?
No, just a lot of shouting.
As hundreds of state employees take cover in nearby underground parking garages, reports are the gunman makes his way to the 18th floor. There, he reportedly holds hostages and presents a list of names of people he was to see. An hour later, just before 11 o'clock, the sound of 4 shots ring out. And word comes down, the suspect is shot by police who infiltrated the 18th floor.
They cited the suspect. They requested the go-ahead to use deadly force. That was given. They did so. The suspect has been shot. I'm trying to confirm initial reports that he is dead.
And again, News 10 just a few moments ago has confirmed that the suspect has died on arrival at UCD Med Center. We also understand now that a few employees who were being evacuated and who had to go down the stairway did suffer some sort of fatigue, and a few of them have been taken away by ambulance. They appear to be okay right now. As for the gunman, his identity is not yet known. Sources close to the scene here tell News 10 that he appears to be about 35 years old and apparently made some statements to some of the witnesses on the ground floor that he was a Vietnam veteran and distressed about something. They also said that he appeared to be intoxicated. I hear some cheering back over here. That's some family and friends, in fact. You might be able to see them over here, are being reunited after they find out that their loved ones are okay who had been trapped inside the building here for a while. Again, information is still unfolding right now. We hope to have more for you. Of course we will, for News 10 at 4 o'clock today. There is plenty more stories here to be told, though, including many that Rosie Gaitan heard this morning from some of the people who are inside the building. Rosie.
That's right. Fear is the best way to describe this situation. Just about everyone on every floor was just so scared.
Those were shots being fired in a Sacramento high-rise. A gunman was taking hostages. I'm Dick Cable.
And I'm Jennifer Smith. Coming up, also a trail of drugs from our local area and across international borders.
And are diet plans legitimate or a waste of your money? A full investigation is launched.
You're watching KXTV, Channel 10. This is a News 10 special edition.
Did everybody get down the stairs, Judy?
I don't know. There's somebody in the phone right now. Where is he now?
18th floor.
Frantic eyewitnesses evacuated from a Sacramento high-rise describing what happened when a gunman took hostages. Thank you very much for joining us. This is a special one-hour edition of News 10. A tense morning on the 18th floor of a Sacramento high-rise.
Now, News 10 first broke the story this morning, and we have several live reports for you this afternoon. We'll learn more about the gunman who police eventually shot and killed, and we'll find out how it all happened.
We'll also hear the terrifying stories of scores of evacuees as they ran for safety.
And we'll examine security at the state building and ask how something like this could happen. Now let's begin with the story of just what happened.
Well, News 10's Dan Adams was first to report live from the scene at 4th and N Streets, downtown Sacramento, and he has the story of a gunman's one-hour reign of terror.
The drama began just before 10 o'clock this morning. 53-year-old James Holloway of Manteca enters the main lobby of the Board of Equilization building, armed with 2 handguns, 2 rifles, and hundreds of rounds of ammunition.
As soon as I got through the door, he was standing there loading a shotgun. He's about 6'1", 240 pounds, white male. And he said, "You better get the hell out of here." I said, "Oh, okay." So I ran around the corner to the other elevator bank, and I was about 20 feet away, and I'm hitting the up button. I'm trying to get the hell out of there, and just as I hit the up button, he goes, kablam! He lets a round off.
The suspect blows out a door in the security office, handcuffs a security guard, then makes his way to the elevators and up to the 18th floor, where startled employees flee.
He said he wasn't going to hurt anybody. He didn't want to shoot anybody. All he wanted was what he wanted. Got a cowboy hat, and alcohol is bad in the elevator. Did everybody get down the stairs, Judy?
I don't know.
Hordes of state and Sacramento City police arrive, and hundreds of employees from the 7th floor down are evacuated.
They just told us to evacuate down the stairwell.
And now they secured it. All the police were there with their guns drawn. They secured it so we could leave.
While those who got out seek safety in nearby parking garages, employees on the 18th floor hear the gunman say he's wired with explosives. And he wants to see an employee named Oliver McCarty, who apparently retired 2 years ago.
He looked serious, looked very serious. Didn't look crazy or wild, he just was stern.
Did he say why he wanted Mr. McCarty?
No, he said that as he went into the area.
As the gunman takes hostages, sharpshooters arrive. Just before 11 o'clock this morning, 1 hour after it starts, a bloody end.
We sent a SWAT unit up to the 18th floor. They cited the suspect. They requested the go-ahead to use deadly force. That was given. They did so.
At least 6 bullet holes pierce an 18th floor window, 2 striking Holloway. He's rushed to the med center where he's pronounced dead on arrival. A half-dozen workers suffer minor injuries trying to escape, but none from gunfire. A search of the van reportedly belonging to the suspect turns up nothing. We are now learning more about that suspect, Jim Ray Holloway, who is 53 years old from Manteca. including a picture that News 10 has just obtained of the suspect. He apparently was armed with a 12-gauge shotgun, a 30 caliber carbine rifle, 45 caliber pistol, the security officer's revolver, and over 200 rounds of ammunition. Now, apparently, according to sources who were up on the floor that I just talked with, he claims to have had a tax problem. His wife apparently died 3 years ago, and there was some sort of a dispute as to how much money he may have owed the state over her death. One of the sources and witnesses up there said that he claimed to be a former Army sergeant, and he says that he's also a former CHP officer. He says, and I'm quoting here now from the source who was up there on the 18th floor, that they wouldn't listen to me before, they will listen to me this time. That's the latest that we know from the scene right now as far as the actual hostage situation unfolded. Let's go live now to Rosie Gaitan back in the newsroom, who has talked to many of the hostages involved in the ordeal today. Rosie?
That's right, Dan. We were told as many as 7 hostages
each week with KXTV Channel 10. We have some more information now about the gunman killed today at the State Board of Equilization building after taking some hostages. Our Dan Adams standing by live. And Dan, what is this information?
We're getting more and more pieces together, Jennifer. I'll pass that along in just a second. But as you say, I am live now here at the Board of Equalization building. And this all happened just before 10 o'clock this morning. Police are still putting the pieces together. At 9:58 this morning, hopefully you'll be seeing some video here in just a second, the 911 call came in that a man was firing shots inside the building here at the Board of Equalization building. And as you can see here, hundreds of employees are evacuated. State police and Sacramento police arrive in force, and the SWAT team is called out. Before the suspect heads to the 18th floor, he apparently fires several shots. No one is injured. Then at 11 o'clock, nearly a dozen shots are fired on the 18th floor. The SWAT team shoots the suspect. He's dead on arrival at the hospital. Now, Dennis Kelly is one of 7 hostages that the suspect held on the 18th floor. He just told me that the gunman said he meant business.
And this gentleman had made it very plain to me and the gentleman with me that he was in the Army. He was an Army sergeant. He'd been with the Highway Patrol for 19 years, and that he knew that those guns were loaded and that he knew how to use them, and that he was prepared to take over the whole building. And I could see in his bag he had boxes of shells that he took a whole handful and put in his pocket like he was ready for anything.
Well, moments ago, News 10 captured these exclusive pictures of the suspect's weapons being removed from the building. They are the rifle and the shotgun that apparently he fired inside the building. News 10 has also just confirmed that, as he claimed, Jim Ray Holloway was with the California Highway Patrol between 1966 and 1972. Trying to get more information on that right now. We also understand that perhaps he chose the wrong building. He may have had a gripe with the State Franchise Tax Board, not the Board of Equalization. Apparently he had some problems over a tax return that was filed 3 years ago, and he may have just targeted the wrong building. Of course, Dick and Jennifer, we're getting more information, and we will have the latest for you on News 10 tonight at 11 o'clock.
Well, it might be some confusion because, as Karen pointed out earlier, a lot of those people just moved into that building just within the last couple of weeks. So.
The witness that I talked with, in fact, said that he moved in here on February 28th, so he hadn't even been here a month yet before this thing happened.
Yeah, and whichever building it was, the main problem was in the man's mind, which had lost it, apparently. And the gunman